My name is Josh Johnson, and I am the president and CEO of 621 Gallery.
And how would you describe the atmosphere and mission of 621 Gallery to someone who's never visited?
That's a really good question because the atmosphere and the mission go hand in hand. So 621 is a 50-year-old contemporary art gallery, but the art is just a vehicle for the community programming that we put out. And so as a quick example, you can find anything from literary salons, concerts, community events at 621 that is decorated by the art. And so the atmosphere of 621 is just that. It's a community space, it's a hub, it's a place where people come and share ideas and also share common missions. We are not in this work alone. We're just thankful that we're one of the many players.
And what drew you to lead this organization, and why does this mission matter to you personally?
It was a bit like Plymouth Rock. Nothing drew me here. I guess I kind of landed on 621. I used to do a series of social justice lectures around town, and one of them was held in the gallery years ago. And after that lecture, because the turnout was, pretty good, they asked me to join the board. A series of unfortunate events that made us more valiant occurred, like road closures and COVID, a global pandemic. And so the structure of 621 changed a bit. And so now I act as the president of the board and the CEO of the organization.
What drew you to such a creative outlet, specifically art?
My start in this community, and what I'm probably most known for even today after all the other stuff, was local activism. I started as a local activist. And as a matter of fact, the lecture that I was putting on in 621 was about how art was leaving the vein of activism. In my generation, art was used as a tool to press issues. I was seeing us get away from that. And so the exclusivity of art and the way that it wasn't being used as an activist tool anymore or a community building tool, it had become part of a, as I saw it, an endeavor in cosmetics. I didn't like that. And so the art was a small piece of a larger puzzle. That puzzle was activism for me. Now, I did have dealings with art. Leon Hicks, who's most commonly referred to as Uncle Junior, he's probably the foremost African-American printmaker to ever live. I managed several pieces of Leon's catalog, and he actually had a studio not too far from here. And so I had an art periphery, but I really came at it from a community building and activism point of view.
And you touched on this a little bit, but with your background in political science from FAMU and your involvement in advocacy, how did those experiences influence the way you lead 621 Gallery as CEO? And how do you see art as a platform for social change in the region?
I was raised by a Southern Baptist preacher. And one of the things that I remembered him saying, even though our traditions aren't always the same these days, I love my father, we're very close, but he would always say that the church has nothing to do with the building. It has something to do with what happens outside of the building. 621 has very little to do with these 6 or 7 walls. Our mission has always been how we can affect what's outside of us, whether that's what's directly outside of us, whether that's what's up the street, whether that's, the art community in general or the political community or the social community in general. And so my background in political science and global securities has given me a more facilitator's perspective, organizer's perspective, and I'm so lucky and fortunate over these years to have been surrounded by great art minds like Gabrielle Simpson and April Cluse and Lauren Baker and Sophia Ballesteros, and the list goes on. And they make me look better in the art world than I actually deserve because my real talents are organizing and keeping things afloat.
And then can you touch on a little bit about how Tallahassee's history and its importance in the art scene?
Well, I'll take you to our history right on up to present day. Tallahassee has always been and is still currently the most segregated economic city in the United States of America. And if that's changed, it's not by much. And I only bring that up to say that the history of this place, while it is spectacular, there are things that we have never dealt with. That's just one of them. This is not just a conversation about race. You could take that very same thing and implement it into any of the work that we try to pinpoint at 621. And so the history of this place and the present day of this place is the same. Now, more specifically, what is the history of Railroad Square? Railroad Square was built as an art district right on the tracks, quite literally, and it kind of separated what people saw as the cosmetic segregation of Tallahassee. We still uphold that mission today because it's come one, come all, and come as you are.
And as both an educator and the CEO of 621 Gallery, how do you see art education and community engagement intersecting here, and why is it important to bring those lessons beyond the classroom into spaces like this?
I've always said that the greatest form of education is exposure. 621, while we do have educational programming and a lot of educational programming, one of the things that we get to do here that I think is different from some of my other work, I serve as the host for the art and culture programming on WFSU, our local NPR affiliate. And in this vein, I am able to expose people to things that necessarily a lecture might not be able to teach. I could sit and talk about the ills or the oncoming onslaught of AI all day, with my hair on fire. But coming in the gallery and seeing the show that's up now and actually critiquing AI in a way where people can be immersed by it and visualize it, I think exposes people. And so it's just another tool in a toolbox, another arrow in a quiver. We face the same challenges that most nonprofits face. Sometimes our blasphemies are compounded because we're not just a nonprofit, we're also a nonprofit in a line of work that's hard to deal in even in the private sector. And so while we face things like grant challenges and administrative decisions from administrations politically that might not be as gung-ho for the arts, we also face things like, how do you manage to make money outside of selling work? And so a lot of our a lot of our operations here have also changed to do things like making this a rental, right? We rent this out for community. People can get married here. They can have graduation parties here. They can have concerts here, which we've had a lot of. And so we've had to be inventive and explore other options because, like I said, our challenges compound. But we do face the standard challenges of finding grants and getting turned down for grants, and there's not enough private donations, and where are the corporate donations?
I want to rephrase that question.
Sure.
So I want to know, well, you answered, but I want to hear the conversation flow. And so for you, you think that there is something missing in the community?
In this community specifically? So I'm a 7th-generation Leon Countian. I don't talk as glibly about Tallahassee as that. And so I would never say that there's something missing, but I will say that there's always something that can be added.
And what you would say that is the challenges that you do face as a gallery owner
Sure.
at the moment.
I'll give you an example. Last year alone, up until this year, a nonprofit contemporary art gallery, which already sounds like something from out of space, we dealt with tornadoes hitting the art district, a hurricane, 2-year road closures, a governor who has cut art funding completely, the threat of the sale of this property that we sit, which would inevitably face us out. That's just a year in 621. And so we are sometimes the rodeo clowns, and sometimes we're the person on the bull. This year we were a bit of both. We were running and riding, but we landed the plane.
And with all these challenges, what do you see your vision for 621?
My vision for 621 is what it's been since my very first board mission, to keep this place open for the community. It gets no bigger, it gets no smaller. As long as we're here, we're doing what we're supposed to do.
visiting, becoming a member, or supporting in any way?
Well, the question was in some ways the answer. We would love for you to visit. You know, when people talk about patronizing the arts, sometimes they're scared because they think they have to come in and spend money. Sometimes just seeing a robust crowd is support enough for us. That gives us a picture to put on social media. We would love for people to apply to be monthly members. We would love for people to support the Patreon. We would love for people to donate. We would love for people to volunteer in whatever way that they can. We would love for more partners from the community, whether it's businesses or different entities, other nonprofits. As a matter of fact, this weekend that we sit in now is the weekend of the Tallahassee Film Festival. And the Tallahassee Film Festival is an incredible cultural juggernaut in this community. And so we don't compete, we partner. And 621 has been a theater for the Tallahassee Film Festival since its inception. We have been sponsors for the Tallahassee Film Festival since its inception. And we do that with so many other organizations, and they do that for us. And so that reciprocity, wherever it finds you, we would love to be on the other end of it and be on the other end of it for you. I'm satiated. If you, yeah, absolutely.
Can you explain the art with the kids and with the firearms?
Sure. Just go now. So that is, the show that we have in here now looks rather inflammatory, which is also a mission of art. If it doesn't start a conversation, it's not doing something right. And if you look around, you can see that there's children holding pistols. That looks very, as I said, inflammatory. This is actually a critique on artificial intelligence. The artist has actually created pieces that are subsequently sandwiched with these AI images. These AI images are what the artist thinks art galleries will turn into one day. That AI will be such a force that they will be able to advertise anywhere and everywhere about anything because it may get too big to fail. And so there won't even be a chance for us to run from it in spaces that you go to run from it. Now, the critique's bigger than that, and that could be a whole day's conversation, but that, for the most part, boils it down, that these children and the people in the back are advertisements for some of the most hideous things that we can never stop because we no longer have the power. If you want to keep that power, support places like 621. Sure.
What are some that people say are the most notable pieces?
This month or in general?
This month.
So this month,
This particular gallery.
so this month has not been an individual piece thing. This month, people have come in and their jaws have dropped because they're coming in and you're seeing these, what some people could say are horrible images, what some people could say are provocative images, what some people could say are images that are doing the responsibility of art. And so I haven't heard, outside of some of the big colorful pieces, because some people are just, casual hobbyists of art, which is also a lovely thing to be. And anything that's big and colorful and abstract always brings that type of personality. But the people that would have put themselves in a position to critique or pick out a favorite piece anyways, they haven't done that this month because it's been encapsulated by the show. The entire show has spoken for itself.
A lot of the work that you showcase here is aligned with what with I guess your inspiration, which is to impact, to
Sure.
showcase reality, but also open a conversation. But you also have like more events, right? Like
Absolutely.
you have your bands come here, but you also collaborate with artists from a diverse pool as
Absolutely.
well. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I'll go back to 2020. 2020 is something that we all remember as a scary time. But as a cook in the kitchen, 2020 hurt us all. Tallahassee used to be filled with live music venues, Fermentation Lounge, the Wilberry, 621, 926, the Bark, the list goes on. After 2020, with the ability to no longer gather, a lot of the stages were pulled out of places. 621 was one of those places. So while we no longer have a stage, we do still have music shows, comedy showcases, because it was never about the stage. it was always about the mission of art. And so while the stage had to be pulled out from an act of God, an act of community keeps those things going, and it always will, always.